Warwick, we just got done speaking with Tom McCormack, which felt weird to me because he's Dr. Thomas McCormack. So I always felt strange every time I called him Tom. It's just, I don't know what, it's the old soul in me. I can't refer to a doctor except by doctor, but we did it. He had some very interesting things to talk about from his own experience. His Crucible, not getting into medical school, some other ones that followed after he was a doctor already. And then his new book, Hidden Medicine, some things that he talked about there. So, what is the little bow on the package you'd like to put on our conversation to hit on what was the most important thing that Tom had to say to us?
Yeah, Dr. McCormack in his book, Hidden Medicine, it's so interesting because he's a psychiatrist, so he's not against medicine, Western medicine. But what he's, I think, advocating is for a more holistic view of health, which includes the spiritual side. And he talks about negative forces. Some could call it spiritual warfare, which he talks about a bit in his book. But negative influences, if we are watching the wrong things that just pull us down and just make us feel depressed about life, angry at ourselves, angry at others, just indulging that. And it can be through substance abuse, alcohol, or drugs. Those are things that erode our soul, in addition to, obviously, they can hurt our health. He's advocating just be aware of that, be aware of those forces that can really pull us down if we let them. Life is tough enough. But just really talking about things in his 12 steps of real psychiatry that really fill us up. And he talked about things like forgiveness, which we talk a lot about on this podcast, which doesn't mean condoning. It can mean, forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and just, it can be making amends, filling yourself with truth, from his perspective. And, our perspective, that could mean the truth of the scriptures of the Bible, but whatever your spiritual, religious paradigm is, fill yourself with truth. Avoid the negative influences. Focus on the positive. We didn't really get into this in our discussion, but focus on what we call a life of significance. In the book, he does talk about one of the highest forms, I think, spiritual psychological health talks about when you're focused on, from my perspective, a higher purpose or on helping other people. That's certainly, I think, to me, a good part of spiritual health and soul health. So really, I think the big message is when we're told to focus on what we eat, avoid foods that are unhealthy, fill yourself with healthy foods. Well, the same is true in spiritual health. Avoid influences that bring your soul down and fill yourself with influences that are good for your soul. That will both help your overall wellness as well as your overall outlook on life. So what's fascinating is he comes at it from a psychiatric, clinical perspective. And his view is soul health, in my words and our words, really matters. Avoid the things that drag you down, fill yourself with truth, whether it's biblical truth or whatever truth you, think is meaningful to you. Fill yourself with truth, because that is the path to spiritual health and soul health.